Welcome to this edition of the SKNIS Week in Review. In this program, we recap significant activities of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis over the past week. Coming up, Prime Minister Harris announces 3 months of duty concessions on food. St. Kitts and Nevis outlines commitment to combat climate change. Police recruit training nearing an end. And November marks the official celebration of the nation's youth. Those stories and more are next on the SKNIS Week in Review for the period October 29 to November 4, 2021. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved 3 months of duty-free concessions on foodstuff that is certain to bring a little Christmas cheer to residents. The concession period begins on November 15, just over a week away. The allowance will be granted on gift packages of foodstuff for the first £500. The concession ends on February 28, 2022. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris announced the concession on Tuesday during Leadership Matters.
My government wants to ensure that for as long as is fiscally prudent, we intervene to allow more affordable goods. My government is a compassionate and generous one. We are doing unprecedented things to protect the poor and vulnerable and to help a wide cross-section of our community to thrive, even during what is a most challenging period of the century.
The Prime Minister further announced that travelers will receive free allowance on goods valued at EC 540 or US $200 of the CIF value during the period December 1st to 31st, 2021. Additionally, there will be 2 reduced VAT rate days in December. The dates will be announced later. For vehicle purchases, VAT will be exempted on the first EC $50,000 with VAT at the standard 17% charged thereafter. St. Kitts and Nevis is represented at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, otherwise known as COP26, that is currently taking place in Glasgow, Scotland. The delegation is headed by Minister of Environment, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, who used the occasion to launch the Federation's National Determined Contribution and Implementation Plan. The NDC, as it is called, is a report that highlights St. Kitts and Nevis's commitment to reduce greenhouse gases and adapt to climate change, while the Implementation Plan translates the actions into the NDC into real-time initiatives. Minister Evelyn said that small island developing states are passionate about their presentations at COP26, as tackling climate change for many is literally a life and death issue for their populations.
As a small island developing state, St. Kitts and Nevis values the importance of developing more ambitious emission targets because, for many of us, limiting global temperatures to 1.5 is a matter of survival. It is a necessity. Through a series of engagements and consultations, St. Kitts and Nevis has pledged to raise the bar. We pledge a significantly more ambitious mitigation target of reducing economy-wide CO2 emissions by 61% by 2030 compared to the base year 2010. This can be achieved by switching to 100% renewable energy in electricity generation and increasing the share of electric vehicles in the vehicle fleet to at least 2%.
The Pan American Health Organization has placed the spotlight on St. Kitts and Nevis's roll-up to roll out COVID-19 vaccination campaign that has resulted in more than 51% of the total population being fully vaccinated. The article published on paho.org credits the success of the campaign to a strong health system with an all-hands-on-deck management to the pandemic, as well as support from partners such as the Pan American Health Organization or PAHO, CARPHA, the European Union, the United States, Taiwan, and India. The leadership by Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris was also credited in the October 29 article. Dr. Hazel Laws is the Federation's Chief Medical Officer.
St. Kitts and Nevis has achieved and surpassed the WHO threshold of having at least 40% of our total population fully vaccinated. And so this is an achievement, and we continue to maintain this momentum in terms of vaccinating our population. We have been acknowledged by the Pan American Health Organization in passing this benchmark by their penning an article that has global reach.
The 2021-2022 cruise season is off to a remarkable start with the arrival of 4 cruise ships this week. The visiting cruise ships were the Ada Sol, which called on Tuesday, the Britannia on Wednesday, and the Seabourn Odyssey and Ada Luna on Thursday. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has prompted many changes across the globe as countries, industries, institutions, and individuals have implemented drastic changes to respond to the deadly virus. St. Kitts and Nevis is no exception. The difficult changes that must now be implemented in a reboot of the tourism sector was the subject of discussion on Wednesday. Sanitizing, mask wearing, testing and vaccination are just some of the changes that were highlighted on this week's Working for You program, which featured Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Carleen Henry Morton, and Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, Raquel Brown.
The dynamics in tourism have changed, and so we might as well adjust our mindsets to accepting some of the things that perhaps maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, would have been no way. But, I mean, there is no question that we are going to have these uncomfortable sometimes discussions and conversations. And as uncomfortable as they are necessary, because sometimes that is eventually how you get people to finally comprehend and to relent and to understand and say, you know, when I look at the bigger picture, I have my reservations, yes. But I think that in my own best interest and in the best interest of the tourism product, of the industry, of the sector, I will go and get vaccinated.
And we're finding that more so now than ever, persons who are traveling want to make sure that they're going somewhere what the vaccination rate is pretty high, but also they want to be able to immerse themselves. And I think for us, that is where our overall brand campaign, Awake Your Sense of Wonder, is going to do very well, because it's not just about, say, sun, beach and sand. It's about really getting into the destination.
Greater training opportunities in entrepreneurship is on the horizon for residents in St. Kitts and Nevis as the government seeks to enhance pathways for interested persons to become self-employed. The plans for such were outlined on Tuesday by the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, the federal minister responsible for entrepreneurship, entertainment, and talent development. She noted that one of the partners being engaged by the government for capacity building opportunities is the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, CFBC, where training will be offered in areas such as female entrepreneurship.
We're also partnering to be able to provide training for web development for MSMEs through an OAS Development Cooperation Fund. We're also partnering with the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative. This is more so for persons within the innovative space. And we're also partnering with the Ministry of Gender and Social Affairs through their Taiwanese-funded project, the Economic Empowerment of Women in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Efforts have also been placed on having entertainers and creatives recognize that they are in fact entrepreneurs. Minister Byron Nisbet said that the government is seeking financing options to help support entertainment businesses hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic.
One of the ways in which we have done that already is by partnering with the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, which will be able to provide guarantees for loans. And we are also in talks with a number of angel investors who have already started offering loans up to $30,000, which are completely interest-free loans. And so we understand that funding is a problem for persons within the creative industry, and so we have been doing our part to see how we can make access to funding more accessible for persons in that sector.
Police training course number 45 is nearing an end. There are currently 26 males and females who have endured the grueling physical and mental challenges designed to refine them into pristine members of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. Recruits Wilmoth Warner-Michelle and Dequana Brown shared some of their experiences over the past 6 months.
As a police officer, we should go out there and take charge when certain things are going on. Should keep the peace, make sure we maintain order, and the strictness that police training school has, it builds that sort of character inside of us to take charge and speak with authority.
Training isn't always going to be good. Sometimes you feel like you want to give up because it's training, but at the end of the day, I tell myself I have to push myself because I have a purpose. And this is training. It may be rough, but you can't give up. You never give up. You just keep going. It will soon be done. It's not going to last forever. And at the end of the day, it's only going to build you, make you. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
St. Kitts and Nevis is celebrating Energy Month in November. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Sean Richards, delivered a national address on Monday to mark the occasion. He referred to the theme, quote, "From dependence to resilience, fueling our recovery with sustainable energy," unquote, and highlighted the important developments contained within.
This theme seeks to highlight the significant role that energy must play in the attainment of sustainable development in the region and in our post-COVID-19 economic recovery in particular. It says that, to do so, the region's energy supply must transition from dependence on imported fossil fuel to the use of indigenous resources. In making the transition, however, we must ensure that the resilience of the energy sector to climate change is enhanced, while, at the same time, exploring and exploiting opportunities for climate abatement. If this strategy is implemented, our energy supplies will become secure in pricing and availability, and efficiently delivered to consumers through resilient infrastructures and operations. This will lead to a future of greater economic growth, social advancement, and environmental preservation.
And finally, Minister of Youth, the Honourable Jonel Powell, saluted the nation's youth on Monday in an address to mark the start of Youth Month 2021. Minister Powell noted that the dreams of the youth can be achieved through hard work, dedication, planning, education, and words of wisdom. This is reflected in this year's theme, which is, quote, "Youth, the Future and the Now, Youth Month 2021, end quote." Here's Minister Powell.
Young people are indeed the future. They are the future teachers, the future tradesmen and women, the future business leaders, the future leaders of our land of beauty. However, while they're indeed the future, it is also quite evident that they are here now. They constitute the majority of our workforce. They are our police officers, our social workers, our farmers, our bus drivers, our bakers, our chefs, our volunteers, our athletes, and our cultural practitioners. The youth, however, need to be enabled to become job generators from job seekers. The vision of the Youth Department seeks to cultivate and nurture the entrepreneurial passion that lies within them.
And that's all for this edition of the SKNIS Week in Review. For more on these and other stories, visit us at sknis.gov.kn. I'm Ian Richards.